Hey everyone, this is BK Kids Club. It's been a while. Sorry, life's been busy, but someone was asking for help with the deck, so I figured I would upload tonight. Today I'm just going to go over Gemini Giga, what it is, why to play the deck, how to play the deck, what makes the deck good. So first, we'll go over my current build. I'm just testing with this right now. I think old school TCG was the one playing with it, but he was playing Unleash Your Power. Uh, so I am trying this card right now, and it's been successful so far. I haven't really had a big sample size. It's just been a few locals and some matches on Dueling Book, but you know, it's the card's not bad. It's at least a worthy addition. But let's get into the deck. So, what is this deck? What is Gemini Giga? Specifically, Gemini Gigaplant is a deck that marries both the Giga Advise engine, which is Gigaplant and Supervise, and Tytannial and Nettles, you know, just a tuner if it's Copy Plant or Nettles, whatever. Um, and then this one has a mid-range level 4 2 engine that gets out with Reinforced Truth and Soldier. Anyway, so that is what the deck is. Why is the deck good? So the deck is good because it has crazy OTK potential. Ultimate Offering is something. It's a card I wish I had discovered when I was younger, known how it interacted so silly with the Gemini monsters. Because I played this deck back in 2010, and if I knew this existed, um, like it would be crazy. I would have probably had a lot of success with the deck. Anyway, um, like with Gigaplant and Ultimate Offering, just with those two cards, if you have a Lone Fire Blossom, that is at least Gigaplant, Titanial. You know, 48 plus 28. That's what 76. Uh, you know, that's almost lethal with just one monster, which is pretty crazy. Um, it People don't know how to play against it really. I mean, like people at my local do because I play it all the time, but it's not a very often played deck, and it'll catch people off guard. You know, you're not only playing a weird deck, you also make maybe weird deck choices. So like, when I flip a Morphing Jar after I've summoned a Dark Valkyria, people have no fucking idea how to play against this. So it'll catch people off guard. The deck is legitimately good. I think it really is. It's the best deck I've ever built. It was sort of a mistake. First, I was making this alien deck, and because I was like, oh, sick, soldier's so cool. I can recruit this alien. And then when I realized when I was looking for larger Geminis, I was on Chthonian Emperor Dragon, and I thought, no, that card's bad. Why would I play that? And I'm like, oh shit, Gigaplant and Lone Fire is crazy because I can get out extra and I can get another one. And then it eventually led to, you know, my list that got me 16th at the Edison YCQ, which was really cool. Um, but yeah, um, the deck is really neat. Soldier is basically my discovery. No one really played this card. Maybe it was in niche decks. People didn't really know how it worked, but I'm the first one to put it in a deck that actually did something. And this card is very good. Soldier has a ton of utility with your cards like Ultimate Offering. You know, one of the play patterns is that you activate Reinforced Truth when they attack, and then they attack into your soldier, and then you activate Ultimate Offering, and then you summon it again, and then you go get a guy, and your soldier doesn't die. Immediate +1, and that's before you've activated the +1 of the card that you got, and another +1 when you attack again. So the deck snowballs out of control really, really, really fast. Um, so this is just me as a duelist and how I play. Um, the sort of weakness in what the deck has to do is you have to commit to the board. You're gonna be setting 4 or 5 back row if you can. That's the best. That's the best hand you can get. One monster and 4 or 5 back row is awesome. That means you got like a Reinforced Truth and a Bottomless and a Starlight Road and an Ultimate Offering. You just have all these resources, and you commit to the board. It's really hard for decks that don't run a lot of back row to deal with, especially if you overwhelm them early. You know, they drew a hand of 6 monsters. They set a Raikou after you've set a Morphing Jar and set 5 back row, and you're about to go out of control with how much advantage you have. I just love this deck because it's really fun to play, and Gemini are underrated. Like, all of their effects. If they didn't have the stipulation that had to be summoned again, all these monsters would be S tier. They're so good. Like, just summon a dude, kill a thing. This recruits other things. Like, and the fact that you can basically do that if you have Ultimate Offering is really strong. So I guess let's get into some of the play patterns of the deck. So let's just do a little solo. Alright, so what do you want to do with this deck? So the first thing I want to do, if I can, is to have some sort of card that interacts with one of our engine cards. Now, what are our engine cards? Our engine cards are specifically Soldier with Reinforced Truth, or Lone Fire, and that gives you access to Gigaplant, which you can get back your Lone Fire, then giving you access to either Tytannial, which is an incredibly strong lockout card on the field, or Nettles, which gives you access to the whole suite of level 8 monsters, which can basically get over anything. You know, there's no real 8 that can get over Duplock except for Dark End Dragon, but you know, if you are playing against frogs and they have Duplock, but you have like Gigaplant, Tytannial, Supervise, and a bunch of back row, they can't do anything for as many turns as it takes for you to draw, you know, one of your Dark Valkyries or one of your Chevaliers or one of your Sparks to get out of their Duplock and then just win the game. The first thing you want to do, if you can, is try to have access to Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire Blossom is very strong, even on its own. You know, if you have no other plays, like you have no cards interact with it, and you need to have something that interacts with the board, you can just go for a Tytannial. In this case, leave the other Lone Fire in the deck because it's still going to be one of the best draws in your deck, giving you access to Gigaplant. But, you know, if at first we can, we're going to want to go Lone Fire for, you know, usually just go Lone Fire, Gigaplant. If you have Supervise, we're going to go Gigaplant, Supervise, and at this point, you have to decide what you're going to do. Now, depending on your back row. Now, if I had these back row, because I have Dark Bribe, this insulates me from Heavy Storm. So because I have that, I'm probably going to go with my Supervise, get back Lone Fire, sacrifice Lone Fire. I'm going to go into Tytannial. Having just sweeping effect that says you can't target my monsters is nuts. It's crazy. Like, if you had 2 Supervises or an Unleash Your Power, well, you can do if you had Unleash Your Power, but you would need 2 Supervises. Yeah. So anyway, you go Supervise, and instead of Tytannial, you get out Nettles. You sink, and then you go into a Stardust, get back your Titanium, or get back your Gigaplant, and then activate the other Supervise, and get this Titanium. This board is crazy. This board is so, like, they can't target anything that you have, they can't destroy anything that you have, and then if you have anything to back that up, I mean, I know it's a meme card, but, like, they're usually only going to have one card that is able to get over whatever you've done with this degeneracy if you went turn 1. So, say they got lucky and they milled a bunch and they went Judgment Dragon. You know, what do I have for Judgment Dragon? If I didn't have this Bottomless Trap Hole, which I do, and they still can't nuke my board because I have Stardust. So they're gonna have to play Judgment Dragon, attack into Stardust, and at that point, if I go Scrap Iron Scarecrow, like the game's over. My advantage is insurmountable, and they're never going to be able to get over anything I do because I now have control of the whole board. That's why I like this card. It's reusable. It catches people off guard, and it works really well. Like, if we're gonna be playing this card, Unleash Your Power. That has the effect that it can set your monsters at the end of turn, and if they attack into your set monster, and then you get to save it again. So, say you had to get over something with the Dark Valkyria. You Dark Valkyria, you Unleash Your Power, you kill the dude, pop it, and then end phase you're going to set it, and having this to have another flip to kill it, I mean, that's just, it's another +1. This deck is full of +1s and advantage. Alright, so the first thing you want to do, if you can, is go Giga Plant into Supervise, or let's just reset this to make it pretty. You go, Lone Fire, and if you do have it, Ultimate Offering. So, I mean, if you had Ultimate Offering with this hand, you would win. You have an OTK in 100 different ways. It's crazy how many ways you can win with this deck. Like, if this was my first set, like if this was my hand and I had this instead of maybe this like Soldier or something, like you can this will swarm the board and win the game, because this represents all of your plant engine. So you can go double Lone Fire into Giga Plant, and then Giga Plant has this cool thing where you can, if you summon it and then Chainlink 1 Giga Plant effect, you can go Chainlink 2 and 3, get rid of the Giga Plant, summon this Giga Plant, and then all Giga Plant says is special summon 1 plant from your hand or graveyard, so it can special summon itself. So if you do that, what you end up getting is 2 Giga Plants who haven't used their effect yet, so you're able to get 2 level 8 Synchros if you want, which is really neat. With this hand, you could also have tributed a Sangan for that, so you could tribute a Sangan and go get a probably a Blazing Butterfly. This gives you access to Gemini Spark. So the whole deck is a toolbox that gives you access to things. So we've gone over the first thing you want to do. Get access to Lone Fire and Giga Plant. It's the strongest engine in your deck. But if you don't have that, there is a backup. So plan B is this card right here, Reinforced Truth. So Reinforced Truth is really cool because it gives you access to Gemini Soldier. With Gemini Soldier, you can then tutor any of the level 4s in your deck, which you have 6 of. Now, 6 I feel like is the minimum number to run if you ever want to play Soldier and Reinforced Truth with a decent level 4 package. Any higher than that is great. Gives you more toolboxes, gives you more things to get. You're less likely to brick. But I feel like, the deck philosophy with this is you really want the monster count to be as low as possible. So I've gone as low as I possibly can, which is 6, and I think 6 is good. 6 gives you access to. This is the core of the deck. So when I say this is the core of the deck, these 24 cards should always be in the deck. Never side any of them out at any point. There is a fringe case in which you're playing something weird that you need to take out Reinforced Truth. But the whole point of the deck is to get, the engines and the toolboxes that those engines come with, and you need all of these cards for that to happen. So if you're going to be siding out cards like in this, my first things I'm looking at are Morphing Jar, Sangan, Tytannial, Unleash Your Power, one of the Scrap Iron Scarecrows, maybe one of the Bottomlesses, maybe a Dark Bribe if you're not playing a really back row heavy deck, MST against Frogs or something. Those are all the cards you can cut. But specifically this 24, I would never cut. And you need a Tytannial somewhere in your 55. If it's not in your main deck, which I have done, it needs to be in your side deck. This card is unbelievable. It gives the plant side of your deck so much utility to be able to put something on the board that has A, high attack, and B, the ability to negate anything is really, really strong. So, like it negates Caius, Brain Control, Phoenix Wind Blast, Book of Moon, just a lot of cards that the deck has trouble with. Tytannial can get over that, and it's really powerful. So, Tytannial needs to be in there somewhere. Now, why am I main decking Tytannial? I main deck Tytannial because I like the upside that it gives the deck. Yes, you have the 15% chance to draw it and brick, but it also makes your top end on game 1 that much more consistent, or that much more explosive. So, like I had gone over earlier, that hand where I had Dark Bribe, and I had Lone Fire and Supervise, I could get out of Tytannial turn 1, and that's able to protect my board, and next turn, because I have Giga Plant still with a Supervise on it, I'm able to go get another Giga Plant and then another plant off that Giga Plant and be more explosive than if I had gone just into a Stardust and had a Giga Plant with no effect, because now I have to use my resources to get out another plant and normal summon that Giga Plant because I got it back off Supervise. So anyway, I like Tytannial in the main deck anyway because it gives my game 1 that much more of an explosive ceiling. It is an auto win card against certain decks like Frogs. If you stick Tytannial, Gigaplant, Supervise, it's very difficult. They need to have 3 answers in their hand, and that's really hard for them to have a critical mass of 3 answers. They need to have enemy controller, brain control, soul exchange to get over this. And that's or Caius and brain control and any combination of those cards. And that's a lot harder to ask for than just single Caius. If you went Gigaplant into Stardust and they go Lone Fire, sack for Caius, attack into your Gigaplant, you've lost your whole board to 1 Caius. And if you had Tytannial in that scenario, all you've lost is Supervise in that, because you can just tribute your Gigaplant, negate the Caius effect, get back the Gigaplant off the Supervise. So you really have 3 charges with Tytannial. So that's why I main deck Tytannial. If you want to brick less often, because the deck does brick sometimes. It is a deck with Gemini monsters in it. The downfall of the deck is, first, that you have to commit a lot to the board, and B, that you need to have a critical mass of spells interacting with monsters. You need to have a Dark Valkyrie and something like a Supervise or a Gemini Spark, an Ultimate Offering, to interact with it. Otherwise, it's just a normal summon 1800 in a format where that's not good enough. So that's why I made deck Tytannial. We went over the play patterns of the deck. So the first thing you want to do is try to get out your Lone Fire side of the deck. Second backup plan, if you don't get out your Lone Fire side of the deck, is to go with Gemini Soldier. Gemini Soldier can take over a game very quickly. So Reinforced Truth has the drawback you can't conduct your battle phase the turn you activate it. But you can just do it during your opponent's end phase. Get a defense position soldier. And then on your turn, stick it to attack first, and then normal summon it. If you've normal summoned it first, you can no longer switch its battle position. So just know your Gemini rulings. There's a really helpful pin in the Gemini channel on edisonformat.com Discord. So yeah, I'll I might link it in my description. But yeah, so Gemini Soldier is very cool because he can't be destroyed in battle. He's sort of like a pseudo Spirit Reaper. The other thing is you can activate his effect multiple times in the battle phase. So if they have 2 monsters, and so they go 1, they'll attack your Gemini Soldier. I mean, usually you're going into Dark Valkyrie, because if they don't kill this, you're immediately threatening to kill whatever they just are attacking with. And then if they're like, nope, I'm going to go for it anyway, and then you can just go get a Blazewing Butterfly, which can just get this back. So the deck is very resilient. A lot of people kind of liken it to Arch or Infernities because of how explosive the plays are and how much recursion there is from the graveyard. There's the fact that there's no hard once per turns. Um, so yeah, goal 2, if you can't get out your Giga Plant, is to get out Lone Fire. Or sorry, your Lone Fire Giga line is to get out Soldier. Soldier attack into things. Soldier defend. You can take over a game attacking with your soldiers or just putting it in defense and walling off. Soldier's also very cool because it makes your Gemini Sparks live a lot more often. Like you'll usually, as soon as you get a target for this, like Gemini Spark's one of the best cards in the game. In Edison format, the ability to destroy anything, put it on any part of the chain link so you can make things mistiming, it's a very useful utility card that gives the deck a lot of depth because you can do it on things like back row or monsters. So you're running an MST and 3 Gemini Sparks. That's and this version is running a Dust Tornado as well. So I'm running 6 targeted removals for 6 targeted removals for back row. And that's really useful in a really back row heavy dependent format. There's a lot of Value Beat, Hero Beat, Value Turbo decks out there. Alright, so if you can't get out your Gigaplant line and you can't get out your Soldier line, plan 3 is to just normal summon your level 4s. I have won games just by normal summoning a Valkyria and getting value off of it. Valkyria supervised Gemini Spark represents it's like a +4. So total, what you have done is you've summoned a monster. You're going to kill their thing. You're going to kill another thing, and then you can summon it, get it back, and then summon it again the next turn. So you're getting 6 total cards for the value of 3 because you're also drawing a card. This is so much value. You can win games even where you haven't got your Gigaplant or your Gemini Soldier engine. Now, the cool thing about Gemini Giga in particular is that the card that really blends both of the halves together is Blazewing Butterfly. So even in this scenario where you have a Gigaplant but you don't have a Lone Fire, so you don't have access to the Tytannial and you don't have access to the Nettles, so you have no tuner, with Butterfly you can still do an engine, tribute this Dark Valkyria, get this Gigaplant, summon this Blazewing Butterfly, get back this Valkyria, kill another thing, and then use this Gigaplant to get back this Blazewing. If this Soldier gets to attack again, at that point you now have access to a tuner because you have Tuned Magician, and now you can do this stuff, go into a level 8, go into another Valkyria, kill another thing. There's just so much value in this deck, especially if you have Ultimate Offering, or Supervise, or Unleash Your Power. That's why you play them, because they interact really well with the cards. Alright, so plan A, get Gigaplant with your Lone Fire and establish a huge board. Stardust or Tytannial, those are your 2 kind of big options at the beginning. Now, the niche cases where you go other things, Black Brute Drago has a lot of utility against Absolute Zero in particular. That's how you get over it. So if they go Absolute Zero with Miracle Fusion and you have access to your Giga lines, you're going to go into Black Brute Drago, attack over their 2500 Absolute Zero. Your guy will die. You get back your Gigaplant, and then in main phase 2, you can either go into get back Nettles, go into another Brute Drago if you need to, or at that point go into Stardust or Tytannial or another Gigaplant or whatever. But yeah, the easiest games are the ones where you just get Lone Fire Gigaplant, Lone Fire Supervise in the first turns, establish a huge board with a bunch of back row, and your opponent is just slogging through turns, losing because you have so much advantage. The other games are going to be where you get a soldier and they don't have any way of interacting with it. You know, their interaction is bottomless trap hole, and he doesn't have more than 1,500 attacks. So you normal summon him, you attack. Maybe you have another monster and you Starlight Road their Mirror Force, and that's the only interaction they had. And you win those games because now you have a soldier that's getting you a +1 every turn. And that +1 can turn into a +2 when it destroys something or gets something back or goes into a synchro. So let's just draw some hands and talk about the deck and see what I would do. Alright, so this hand is almost good. You need one of like 10 cards. So the best thing to get would be a Lone Fire for sure. The second best draw would be a Reinforced Truth, or just Gemini Soldier, because you have access to, in this hand, I have access to an Ultimate Offering or an Unleash Your Power. Sangan also would give me access to this, and Morphing Jar would give me access to a fresh hand of 5 cards, which would for sure give me an engine card. So I have a lot of live draws. That's not one of them. So I'm going to be playing defense, hopefully not die. Scrap Iron can help me not die. In this hand, I would set literally these. I would set probably these 4. I don't need to set this Ultimate Offering right now and put it in danger because I have this Dust Tornado. So end phase I get Dust Tornado and then set this, and then I have access to it in the following turn. All I need to draw is 1 engine card. Because you run a low monster count, there are going to be some times where you don't draw monsters, but honestly, the best hands are the ones where you draw more back row. So this is kind of an extreme example, but you have a lot of answers to things while you get your cards. Again, this would be a tough game. You might lose this game because you've drawn too many back row, and that happens sometimes. You don't draw your monsters. That happens in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Hopefully, there we go. Even 1 Gemini Soldier could do this, because if they're attacking, you can go like Ultimate Offering and then summon it twice, and then just put him in the way of things. So if they attack into it, you have Scrap Iron Scarecrow. If I have this powerful a hand, I can go, Dark Bribe to save it if it's my only monster. And once I've gotten 1 hit with this guy, I have access to my whole level 4 suite, which is going to be 2 Butterflies, 2 Valks, a Chevalier, and a Magician. The best is always Valk. I mean, Valk just takes care of stuff. It's 2100, it's nuts. Butterfly helps you reuse things. Chevalier is the 1900, which is really useful. Like if you're playing against Hero Beat and they have an alias, you just attack in with a soldier and then attack in with the Chevalier. You have lost nothing, and they don't have an alias anymore, and you still have your soldier. This card's very good. Alright, so if I have soldier, I'm going to take over the game. I'm going to try to control it as much as I can with my back row and attacking and getting level 4s. As soon as I've drawn a Lone Fire, this hand is now so explosive that I will be able to OTK or maintain control of the board if they don't have a way of interacting with this. Now, if you guys want to learn about how to, beat Gemini, the whole suite of targeted removal that is kind of non-conventional is really good. So, I have a lot of answer to things that destroy, but if you play cards like Phoenix Windman Blast to put it on top of my deck, Compulse, put it back in my hand, Book of Moonit to put it face down, that's tough for Gemini to interact with. That's the best kind of cards you can have, because it both interacts in combat, so it's going to have that utility, and it can interrupt my combos. So if I go turn 1, Lone Fire, Giga, Supervise, and you Book of Moon me, I've lost all of my momentum and I'm not doing anything anymore. So that's really how you beat the deck. You try to interact with the engine cards before they get going, because as soon as I've got a +1, I'm going to start taking control of the game. Let's draw another hand. In this hand, you have spells interacting with monsters. This is pretty powerful. Depending on the type of deck, these could be 2 dead draws, but you have a +1 here and a +1 here, and that's that's a lot to be said. There's a lot of churning through your deck in this deck. When I was playing Upstart Goblin, there's a lot of draw cards, but even Gemini Spark is really good at getting through your deck. This makes it even more powerful. I mean, Supervise is just a very strong card. Man, I just love this deck. It's really fun. Also, if you're thinking about playing against Gemini, the worst card I'd never want to see is Royal Oppression. That card's really good. Royal Oppression, Royal Decree, both very effective side cards against Gemini. The deck is very back row heavy, and the deck is very special summoning heavy, and that's one of its downfalls, but it also is, with that special summoning heaviness, it is incredibly explosive. I very rarely go into game time with this deck because I know pretty soon if I'm going to win or not. Like, I'm either going to snowball out of control and take control of the board and win, or they're going to have control of the board and I won't be able to overcome their advantage. Like, Gemini is very good at taking care of the board with the deck resources. So if I get to do my thing, like if I get to go Lone Fire Supervise, I'm probably winning. If I get to go Dark Valkyria, summon it, pop your guys, you Bottomless Trap Hole, I Gemini Spark it, get the +1, pop your other thing, like, I'm winning those games. The games I don't win are where you draw too many monsters, which is why you keep the monster count low. Or, you just don't get the right set of spells interacting with monsters. Like, this is a great hand. This is such a good hand. I have Valk, so summon Valk. If they Bottomless Trap Hole me, I'll kill their other thing. Or if they don't, I activate Supervise. They go MST on Supervise. I can still go Gemini Spark, kill their thing. These all go to the grave at the same time, and I still get back my Valk, and I get this. So I get, what, a +1, +2 there. And I still have Reinforced Truth to go get a soldier out of my deck, and back up to prevent my board from getting nuked. Starlight Road is a very good card. It helps you go into aggressive boards, like board clear cards like Mirror Force and Tytannial. And because you commit so much to the back row, in my most recent versions of the deck, I'm running 4 cards that are direct counters to Heavy Storm. Heavy Storm is also a bane of this deck. I hate Heavy Storm. But if you get Lone Fire turn 1 and you can go into Stardust, you have natural protection against Heavy Storm. That's a huge thing. But yeah, I play a Dark Bribe, Solemn Judgment, and 2 Starlight Roads, and that's 4 cards. That gives you a 50% chance to have a counter to Heavy Storm in your opening hand. That's big. Like, you need to have some amount of response to Heavy Storm, and often if you Starlight Road a Heavy Storm, you win those games. Like, it's not 100%, but it's probably up to like 60 to 80% of those games you win. It's a huge percentage. Getting that huge +1, and they can't heavy you twice, which is the mantra of this deck. That sometimes if they heavy all your resources and you go like, Gemini Spark and Reinforced Truth, and you don't get hit that hard, then you can start setting all your shit. You're going to start winning that game. But yeah. All right, let's draw some more hands. I don't want to play any duels tonight. I'm tired. It's been a long weekend. But, man, this is a good hand. This is a very good hand. If you want to, go ahead and summon the guy. This will insulate you if you go into Reinforced Truth, Soldier. If they just, say they set a Raikou or a Hamster and a Torrential Tribute, you go get this guy, on your turn. I probably wouldn't set all these. I'd probably maybe keep this in hand. But anyway, you go Reinforced Truth, get this soldier. If they activate Tytannial or Mirror Force to the attack, you have a Starlight Road. And now you can start doing stuff. If you have this Unleash Your Power, you could go either this to clear their guy, or you could go the Tuned Magician, to go into a Synchro. You could activate Unleash Your Power, and then these go to Grave, and then you get, fucking Stardust is good, Colossal Fighter's good, Thought Ruler Archfiend's good, Blackbeard Drago's good. If you go with Dark Valkyria, you can go Dark End Dragon, so you can kill another guy. I mean, the deck has so many options for what it can do with its main deck engine cards, which is what makes it so strong. Draw some more hands. Alright, so this isn't a great hand. We've drawn the 15% of games where we draw Tytannial. We have an Unleash Your Power without any card really to interact with it. But, I mean, any game you have an active Gemini Spark isn't the worst. Like, just putting a 1500 on board is enough to stop a lot of decks. Like, what the fuck is Quick Draw Dandy Warrior going to do against a 1500 if they don't have the ability to go and do a Caius that turn or a Drill Warrior? And if they do, then you just do this. Like, this is a really good card to see with this hand. This Sangan represents a Lone Fire Blossom, which represents, with this Supervise and Unleash Your Power, could represent a Giga Plant, Stardust, and a Tytannial, or it could be just two level 8 synchros. Yeah, this hand's not bad. I wish I had more back row. I wish I didn't dead draw this Tytannial. But Sangan opens up a lot of plays. Sangan's also really cool because you can go Dark Valkyria, pop your own Sangan. So, like, if I have Ultimate Offering, pop your own Sangan, and then you just get access to Lone Fire, and then you can just win that way. So you can OTK by killing your own Sangan with Dark Valkyria. It's really cool. If you guys don't know the ruling with Soldier, if Soldier attacks a Raikou, Soldier he activates in substep 5 of the damage step, so you'll go get a level 4. Raikou activates in substep 6 of the damage step, so then he can target either one of them. So if you want to save your Soldier, go get a Butterfly. If you want to kill their thing, go get a Valk. I mean, Valk's the best target almost all the time. Again, sometimes you go into Chevalier, and sometimes you go into Toon Magician. Like, if they have a Stardust Dragon, it is something that's not easy for your deck to get over. Your best out for Stardust Dragon is either your own Stardust Dragon, so you can negate it when you Gemini Spark their dude, or you Valkyria it, they Stardust Dragon, and then you can negate their Stardust Dragon with your Stardust Dragon. The other out is with just Soldier, and if you have Supervise, Unleash Your Power, or the best is always Ultimate Offering. Ultimate Offering is so good. The card is so nuts. The fact that you can just get unlimited summons, all your guys get their effects. If you haven't watched the video, it's called the Edison Ultimate Offering Guide. It goes over all the ways you can abuse it. You can make things miss timing. You can get extra effects like I talked about earlier in the video, where you had 2 Giga Plants who then had their effects. Yeah, it's really cool. Alright, I'm going to draw a few more hands. I guess I'll talk about Sideboarding next. This is a tough hand. I really don't know what the best option is. Morphing Jar is strong, so if they're playing, I don't know, some low back row deck and I can sneak it in there, Morphing Jar is fine. This might just be like a Lone Fire Go Tytannial hand. just get a fatty on board, set some stuff. Maybe next turn I can, like, Morphing Jar, Starlight Road, and then I have some things I can do. If I draw a fresh set of 5, like, this is probably going to win me the game. I mean, maybe not quite yet. I need, like, a Ultimate Offering type effect, but even Supervise, Chevalier, kill something, get something back is pretty strong. That's a +2. I mean, the fact that you can set all these back row, you have cards like Solemn Judgment, Starlight Road to stop their haymakers after you've drawn 5 new cards. Alright, one more hand, then we'll talk about sideboarding. Sorry if this video is long and rambly. It's been a long weekend, and I just kind of made this off the cuff. But hopefully it'll teach you a little bit about Gemini, my deck theory, about why I made this deck, the deck choices I've made, how to play the deck, the sideboard patterns. The deck has a really high skill ceiling. It's very hard to play, and it also kind of has a meme factor. So people pick up the deck and they drop it really quickly before they've really explored how good the deck can be. This hand's really cool. You have Unleash Your Power, double Reinforced Truth. So, like, if they attack, you can go Special Summon Gemini Soldier. If they continue the attack, you activate Unleash Your Power, and then maybe go get, like, Valkyria, kill the monster that attacked you. One thing that's important for the play patterns in this deck is that you want to make sure you get full use out of all your resources. So, like, imagine that you have this truth set, right? And you've set these monsters, maybe summon a Valk, and your plan was that you wanted to go get some advantage with this soldier. So say you go get soldier, and maybe I even have this supervise in hand. At that point, I've drawn a card, and imagine the card that I draw is now Lone Fire Blossom. So now we're in this sort of awkward scenario where I have the best combination of cards in my deck. I mean, this Lone Fire Supervise is nuts. It gives you, it's such a big advantage engine. Gigabyte players know, like, this is the best hand you can possibly get in the whole deck. But I've already used this Reinforced Truth. It's not always correct to go for the big play. Sometimes it is correct to go for the advantage you already have on board. So with this, I can just go summon Gemini Soldier and try to start taking over the game with him. That may be the correct play. Now, if your board gets cleared, they have stuff to get over you. Now, because you kept Lone Fire Supervise in hand, you have this huge Haymaker comeback after you've exhausted your other resource. But that's some of my advice. Try to space out the resources you use. If you've summoned a soldier off of Reinforced Truth, maybe don't summon the Lone Fire Blossom if you don't have a follow-up play, even though it's the best play in your deck. Maybe don't go double Reinforced Truth at the same time. If you have 2 Reinforced Truths, space them out. Get one. Like, say I don't have an Ultimate Offering or I don't have a Supervise. Now, again, if you have, like, a Starlight Road, maybe it does make sense to go get both of your soldiers. The deck is a lot about playing around things, and that speaks volumes about your knowledge as an Edison player, which you're going to have to get. But playing around at locals, last Wednesday at locals, I played around Gores for 4 turns. I always attacked with just one monster and never the monster that had more attack, because I knew that if a Gores came out on the board, I had no response. There was no possible way I could win from a Gores position, but he couldn't get anything that was big enough to get over my board at that position. I had a Valkyria, so I could take care of the Gores if he brought it out just off the soldier attack, but I couldn't get over Gore's. I don't remember the exact board, but anyway, I didn't attack into Gore's, and I won the game because I played around that out. He did have Gore's. He showed me at the end of the game. It was good that I played around it and I won. You know, if you have a soldier that's sitting there, they have a bunch of back row, but they haven't gotten over it yet. Maybe they have the D prison. Maybe they have Mirror Force. Maybe just leave it in defense. Don't go poking the bear when you don't have stuff to back it up. Like, it's a lot easier to summon Valk, activate Supervise, and attack with it when you have a Gemini Spark back up, because you're just sitting there waiting to get the +1. Like, I'm poking the bear at that point. I want them to hit this Valkyria. I want to use the Supervise or this Gemini Spark so I can get my +1, make the board simpler so that I can OTK and not get interrupted. Making the board as simple as possible so that I can have a huge board is huge. That's what you want. You want the game to be as simple as possible. The deck is good against back row light decks, and you have to play really strong Yu-Gi-Oh! Against decks that have a lot of back row. Alright, so let's go into sideboarding. So here's the version I'm playing now. What's the sideboard? We'll start with the monsters. Fossil Dyna. This card's really good. I sided in against the plant decks. Like, if they have a Tytannial, it's a main deck answer to Tytannial. I side deck against frogs for sure. You can flip it to stop a Duplock. You can flip it to, or you can just normal summon it so they don't have access to Treeborn Frog. Very strong card. Grand Maul. Grand Maul's super good against synchro summon heavy decks, and it's good against decks that set Raikou. It's good against Hero Beat because you can just tack into a Ab-Zero, not lose any resources, and return it to hand. It's also interacts really well with your Ultimate Offerings. This is a really strong sideboard card. 2 Prohibition. Prohibition is kind of a weird one. I just like this card. It kind of answers a few decks that I have trouble with, and I like the proactivity of it. So the first reason I play Prohibition is for Glad Beasts. I have a very difficult Glad Beast matchup. Again, one of the difficulties of the deck is that you have to commit a lot to the board, and Glad Beast take advantage of that the most because they just play the Bestiari and the Geyserus and pick your board apart, and then you have a really tough time playing the game. So if you Prohibition Bestiari, they can't pick your board apart anymore. They may still be able to go into Heraclinos, which is kind of also very difficult for your deck to out, but like, hard matchups happen, and sometimes you lose those games. You can still win against Glad Beast because you can just summon like a Chevalier and they can't even get over it. You can just get insurmountable advantage with one Lone Fire Supervise, get Stardust, and now they can do nothing for the rest of the game. I also play Prohibition against frogs. You can call Treeborn Frog, and they can't get it from the graveyard. There's also just a bunch of weird shit decks in the format. So say you're playing against Exodia or Chainburn, or, like in Exodia and Chainburn, there are so many cards in your deck that don't do anything. You're never going to activate a Bottomless Trap Hole against Chainburn or Exodia. So the more cards you can throw in that are relevant, so being able to call against Exodia the other week, I called Trade-In, and I couldn't do anything, and I won. Call the Haunted. I don't even know. I just put this card in because it took out Cyber Dragons. I've been very unimpressed with Cyber Dragon, and plus I don't play anybody who plays machines. I don't know. I just don't worry about the Call the Haunted. Fill it with your pet card. I don't care. Dust Tornado. Dust Tornado is for back row fight decks. Like, you always, if you're going to be playing against Vayu Turbo, Black Wings, Hero Beat, there's going to be decks where you need to clear their back row so that you can play your combos. So that's what the 7 tools and the Dust Tornado are for. Iron Wall. Iron Wall's a very good card. against Hero Beat in particular, it's really strong. Hero Frog, I think it's the strongest side card you can go. Any of these stupid D-Fissure Macrocosmos decks. I sided against a Bayou Turbo. It's essentially like a second Shadow Mirror. There's no cards in the deck except for Bottomless Trap Hole that interact with it, so like it just shuts off a huge portion of the Edison meta. Lightmere, I don't play any light monsters, and there's a lot of like Raikos, Lilas, and Lightsworn decks running around. Having some protection against that is useful. I like having them in the sideboard. Shadowmere is mostly against Blackwings and Bayou Turbo, but any number of dark heavy decks. It does turn off your Valks, but like that's not, if you turn off their whole deck and you turn off 10% of your deck, it's not really a big deal. And Tuner Scheme. Tuner Scheme, I side in against Blackwings, Bayou Turbo, any Synchro heavy decks, so against like the Flamebell decks or the Quick Draw decks. It catches people off guard. You're already committing a bunch to the board, so like what's one more continuous? And it gives you it's just an immediate +1. And sideboarding into a +1 that gets over things that you're going to have difficulty getting over is really nice. So I like Tuner Scheme. I think it's a really powerful card. When I'm looking to side out cards, what's gonna come out first? So Morphing Jar. If they have a really back row heavy deck, Morphing Jar is probably not staying in. Morphing Jar is really strong against like the Lightsworns, the Frogs, the decks that have a bunch of resources in their hand. If you can just like discard, if they discard 5 cards and you discard 1 card, and then you each draw 5 cards, you've gotten a +4 in that, and most people lose after you go +4. On top of that, Morphing Jar is really nice because it gives you your critical mass of like getting to your stuff, like getting to your Supervises, getting to your Ultimate Offerings, getting to your Lone Fires. Sangan and Tytannial. Now, Sangan against like really Caius heavy decks where you're afraid that you're never really going to get the effect against decks that are going to run over your stuff, like that Flamebow Firedog deck or Blackwings. They attack into your shit with Sure the Blue Flame. Glad Beast, just one thing to attack and then go into any Glad Beast. It's you kind of need to be playing more proactive than that. So these all kind of go out against back row heavy decks because you want to have a low monster count and be able to fight their back row. Against back row light decks, you can start to look to cut some things. These are kind of the normal culprits if you're looking to cut back row rather than monsters. If I haven't shown them Morphing Jar yet, I like to keep it in the deck a lot of times, especially if I'm going first. Being able to set it and them not having it. If they've seen Morphing Jar, I'll side it out a lot of times. If I side in Iron Wall, I'll never leave in more than 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. Again, this is the core of the deck. Never side out any of these 24 cards. I don't recommend it. Just like those sides earlier, you never side really more than like 6 cards. And if you need to side more than that, it's because it's a weird-ass matchup like Exodia or Chainburn, and you need to just take out all these dumb cards that are never going to do anything against them. And, fill it with, like, this might be able to do something. Like, these can stop a Geometrio, and this can stop I don't know. Just things that can do things rather than things that don't do things. That's generally the way to side deck cards. Look, if you want to watch gameplay, I have hours of video of me playing in RBET and doing my video about my big win streak I had last year. I don't have a ton of time, so just watch those videos and get familiar with how the deck plays. It's not rocket science, but it is a hard deck. So, everyone, I appreciate if you've listened to my rambling this long. If there's anything else you want me to do a video on that you want specifically to know more about Gemini, I I got a little bit of time, so just leave a note in the comments, and I'll be happy to oblige and make another video. As for now, everyone have a good night. I appreciate your time. Everybody take care.